us in prayer.
All right, good morning, and thank you. First of all, let me just say, welcome back. Father God, in the name of Jesus, we come now to say thank you for your grace and mercy. We thank you, Lord God, for your love and kindness toward us. We thank you again for the opportunity to gather here, Lord God, to address the affairs of county government. And we ask now that you would just be with us as we talk and discuss, and that your spirit, the spirit of peace and love and cooperation, will prevail. We thank you for those who are gathered here physically and those who might be tuning in via Facebook. We ask your blessings over them and cause them to continue to have the will to be engaged in this process. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
You give me a moment. I'm glad to be back. God is good all the time. And I just tell you that I missed all of you. And I hope you miss me too. But I'm back. I'm back in the saddle again. And I want to thank my colleagues, my teammates, my brothers and my sisters for carrying on the business of Montgomery County. It goes to show you we are blessed with the kind of commissioners that we have, because if one missing, we continue to carry on business. So again, I want to welcome you all here this morning. I'm just glad to be back, and just keep on praying, not just for me, but for this commission and for Montgomery County. Thank you. Lauren.
Good morning. First, we'll go over our visitors. We'll have a report from City County EMA via telephone call. Finance Director Cheryl Thomas, Personnel Director Carmen Douglas, Executive Director Phil Bryant from Community Corrections was scheduled to speak with us today, but he has power problems at home, could not be here in time for the meeting. Managing Director Emily Flowers and Choreography Director Sarah Stanford with the Alabama Dance Theater, and then Director of Cultural Affairs from the city, Yvette Jones Smedley. Christy, if you're ready to call in, we're ready for your report.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. I've emailed each of you the situation report so that you can keep tabs on our numbers. We are currently at 46,591 cases. For just the month of January, that is 9,302. That is 279% more than we had at this time for those same dates last year. They haven't updated our current vaccination numbers, but they're still holding kind of strong. We're around 248,527 doses that have been administered. We do have one good thing to report, that a partnership with Alabama Department of Public Health, and they are contracting a company that will be at Eastdale Mall starting this Thursday for drive-through COVID testing. It is free to the public. They do ask that you go to easytesting.com and register, but it is not required. If you present insurance, that is fine, but again, it is not required. This is free testing. This is a saliva test that will get you results in 24 to 48 hours. That is what we have, and it's just trying to help augment and take some of the strain and stress off of our local hospitals and clinics and those long lines we all see at every ASC every morning when we're coming into work. We've been operating the Montgomery Warming Center overnight. We open at 4 p.m., and my staff of me and 4 are working straight through till 7 and 8 o'clock in the morning, providing meals, safe passage. We're actually borrowing a van for Parks and Recs, and we go pick them up when the MATS buses are not working. We have asked for volunteers. We've yet to have any that have come to help. We do ask that our guests that come stay at our warming center help us with cleaning and cleaning them after themselves. They have been quite helpful with that. I know you mentioned last time, Commissioner Sankey, about possibly having someone with some mental health training coming in. That would be very helpful. I was attacked on December 21st by one of the females in the room at 3 o'clock in the morning, and so we had to ultimately trespass her and call law enforcement to get her out of the facility. We've had a few other situations, but luckily we were able to de-escalate. But any time that you see the temperatures below 32 degrees, we're at the old Floyd Magnet School, or the old Floyd Middle School on LeBron Road. If you go inside the fence, you'll see our Montgomery Crisis Center sign. We're the building straight to the right of the basketball court. We're providing, like I said, meals. We're providing assistance, getting them in contact with a caseworker through 211 to help get them some permanent housing assistance, helping get state IDs, giving them applications for jobs to help not only give them a handout, but we want to give them a hand up and get them out of a perpetual system of need and give them something that they have to be proud of and to work for themselves. I apologize for not being there this morning, but I know everybody would panic because I have a sinus infection. And again, we got off at 7 o'clock this morning after working 18 hours the last 2 days, and my bed is needing to be close to my head.
Mr. Chairman.
Sir, yes, sir.
Christie, are you still there?
Yes, sir.
Can we talk tomorrow about the mental health initiative?
Yes, sir. Since we are working through the weekend that's coming up, it looks like Friday, Saturday, Sunday night, Monday's looking pretty good right now, and then Tuesday, I'm giving my staff and all of us, we've adjusted our schedule and hours. We're trying to take a day off tomorrow since there will not be a need for the warming center tomorrow night, and my team needs a break. And anytime that I'm able to give them a day off, we can adjust our schedules accordingly. But you know my phone is always on me, sir, so you can call me anytime.
Okay, and the name of the company that has the contract, what's the name of the company?
Hold on just 1 second. Let me pull it up real super fast. It's Easy Testing. It's a division of Health Screening Solutions, LLC. That is a contract through ADPH. We just help them partner with the location.
Okay. And currently, the only location is going to be Eastdale Mall? Is that what I understand?
Yes, sir. We tried to go for the Coliseum, but due to construction and booking, that was unable to be done. They needed a huge parking lot with some covered ability to keep people out of the wind, rain, and possibly severe weather to be able to continue operations. And Mr. Holman with Eastdale Mall, who has been a great partner through testing, vaccines, flu shots, he is a phone call away, and he was able to do that. That location had bus stops. That location had a huge parking lot to help try to not cause any traffic issues along the highway.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, any other question for Christie? Okay, thank you, Christie.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Glad you're back, sir.
Now we'll go over the items to be considered in the formal session. First, under new business, are miscellaneous appropriations to agencies. Are there any additions? Consider miscellaneous appropriations to education. Consider miscellaneous appropriations from designated revenue. Consider budget change request number 3 for the County Commission. Consider budget change request number 5 for engineering. Consider a position fill request for community corrections for our community corrections technician. Consider a position fill request for the District Attorney's Office for an Assistant Director of Pretrial Diversion, DA Investigator. Consider position fill request for the Probate Judge's Office for an Administrative Support Assistant, an Administrative Support Specialist, a Customer Service Clerk, a Probate Court Clerk, and Assistant Elections Director. Consider position fill request for the Sheriff's Office for a Deputy Sheriff Corporal and a Deputy Sheriff Trainee. Consider a position fill request for the Youth Facility Court for a Juvenile Probation Officer. Consider travel training requests for appraisal, community corrections, detention, engineering, risk management, sheriff's office, and the youth facility court. And those are all the items.
We get this risk management position been filled?
No, sir.
Is it in personnel?
Yes.
Okay.
Next, we'll hear from Finance Director Cheryl Thomas.
Cheryl has really got some good news, Commissioner. I told
Good
her
morning.
You got some good news.
Oh. And yes, and good to have you back,
Thank
Chairman
you.
Dean. The item I've got before you is, and we're asking a waive rule on this. We didn't know about this till, I think, 2 days after the last meeting. Just a little, this has to do with American Rescue Plan. Just a little background on it. A revenue loss is one of the categories under the American Rescue Plan that we can spend money on. It allows you to use it for government services that you normally provide. Under the final rules, you can make an election to use a standard 10 million instead of computing it for 4 years. Our first computation was for 2020. It was about 1.7 million. So based on that trend, I'm recommending that we elect to use the standard 10 million. Doesn't increase your funds, doesn't decrease your funds. It just allows a lot more flexibility for that 10 million. Questions?
And the money this money would go into the general fund, is any criteria for how it's to be used, or just?
Well, what we would do is we have the 44, I'm rounding, 44 million from the American Rescue sitting in a separate account. We'll leave it there. Because even though the 10 million will account for that in that grant, because it's still grant funds that we will account for within that category. So we won't just transfer it to the general fund. It doesn't mean you have to use it for general services, but it allows you to use it for general services. So we'll account for it like every other category. It's just a lot more flexible. And we have to make that election on a report that's due by the end of January.
That is good news, Chairman.
So-
No objection to that, Mr.
Okay.
Chairman.
I have no objection.
And it's a waive rule for today. Thanks.
Thank you.
Personnel Director Carmen Douglas has 2 items to present to you, items 4 and 5.
While she's coming up, Commissioners, the city has submitted a proposal for a separation of the city-county personnel. They want their own personnel department. So that's before the House, the State House now. Isn't that right, Ms. Douglas?
I'm sorry.
Isn't that right?
That's my understanding, yes.
Okay. And we had nothing to do with that, so what that would mean is that if we pass it, they would have their own, and we would continue to have Ms. Douglas, who's our personnel director. Go ahead, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. And it is so good to see you back, Chairman Dean. I have 2 items that I want to bring before the County Commission. The first one deals with an education reimbursement program. One of the things that, well, it's twofold. I'm going to bring up this issue. We all know the high cost of education, all the talk that's been done about the amount of student loan debt that many people are in to pursue a college education. And this program will assist our employees in pursuing college educations. In addition to that, one of the things that surveys have shown that give employees the most, one of the things that gives them the most employee satisfaction is opportunities for advancement. And one of the avenues to advance your career is through education. And we also know that our workforce is changing. They're calling it the Great Resignation, but at the same time, we have a lot of employees who are eligible to retire. So we need to prepare to have people available to compete for those jobs as they become open. So the Education Assistance Program provides many opportunities for the employees of the county and also for the county commission as a whole. What this program will do is that it limits the amount that an employee can receive to $5,250. And basically, the way that we came up with that figure is that is the maximum amount you can receive each year where it is not taxable. If you receive anything in excess of that, it's taxable, federally taxable. What the employee would have to do is to submit an application. They would have to provide proof that they've been accepted to the university. And if they work for the county for 2 years from the time that they receive the reimbursement, they are not obligated to pay the money back. If they do not work 2 years from the time that they receive the reimbursement, then there's a prorated schedule as to how much they would have to pay back to the county. Each year, the county can decide what they can afford to set aside for funding to fund this program. So I'm not recommending a set amount. It's just what can be afforded each year. The city has had this program in place for a couple of years, and they have not spent in excess of $50,000 in a year that the program has been in place. Through this program, some employees have been able to complete their college education and receive college degrees with the city. So it has been very successful. What the employees do, they submit the application, and as long as it's, there's so many different careers that are available within the county, as long as it's something that can be used within the county, then they can submit their application for consideration for reimbursement. They do have to turn in their grades at the end of the term that they're in order to be reimbursed, because you do have to pass to be reimbursed. If you don't pass, you're not reimbursed. So that's what I'm asking you all to consider. The full program is in your package.
Mr. Chairman, may I?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Douglas, that sounds like an excellent program. Just one question, are there any exceptions to the 2-year period? You said that a person that has received funds under this program has to be employed 2 years subsequent, or they have to pay the money back?
Well, that
Are there
is,
any exceptions in that?
the way that it's written, it's not, but if that's something that the county wants us to consider, we can surely revise it to what the county commission feels like should be done. But we feel like that should give them some encouragement to also, because as you all know, it is very hard to hire people now. So it also should be an incentive for retention purposes. $5,250 a year, that's a lot of money for someone to receive.
There are a lot of reasons why people would leave. Right. And some of them, they don't have control over. You understand what I'm saying?
I understand.
So I understand that part, but that would be what bothers me. Somebody left it's a married couple, and one of the spouses got a promotion out of town. They got to leave with the family, and you're going to put that extra, give me my money back, thing on them. I have some problems with that, but overall, I like the program. I think that the program itself is incentive enough to keep people around. The very fact that they can get $5,200 a year, that would more than pay tuition at community college, I know.
It does.
Ms. Douglas, why don't you get with Commissioner Harris and y'all get some word that we could do an addendum or whatever it's called to make that work for the benefit of the people and us.
Sure.
Yeah. Amount of change.
I did, yeah. Correct.
Yeah, we use this in the private sector a lot. I guess the concern or the question I would have, say I get education assistance, I stay here a year, and then I decide to leave, or y'all leave me, or whatever the situation is, how do you get me to reimburse that money back?
There's several different avenues that can be done. One of them is that if you have leave available on the books, then it would be taken from your leave payout. So you would not receive your leave payout when you leave. We have an agreement that you sign, and you would not receive your leave payout as it goes towards, because we're giving you money for your leave payout when you owe the county money. So it would be taken away from your leave payout. And then the other way is that you can make payment arrangements to pay it back. Then another stipulation in it is that if you do not pay the money back, then you're not considered leaving in good standing, so you forfeit your reemployment rights. So,
Well, I agree with Commissioner Harris that there are going to be some reasons, that's legitimate reasons, and we probably need to kind of try to address those, but make it as, I guess, as precise as we possibly can on different exceptions and what the exception is for.
okay.
Yeah, military, I mean, somebody gets called away military, something like that. But make
I'm
it
sure
very,
I can
very,
come up with something, and I'll submit it to Chairman Harris to review the addendum.
Thank you for that promotion.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Harris, I apologize. I'll submit the addendum, and we can come to some type of agreement if y'all are fine with that.
Just, it's a great program. I think it's a great program, but I don't want us to have stuff hanging over people's head. This could discourage somebody from getting into the program. They think they're gonna run into all of that.
It's a voluntary program, correct?
It is.
Right.
Yeah, of course it's voluntary, but,
Okay.
a lot of times you get to have to leave, it's not really your decision to leave.
Right. This is very common, and I mean, the military does this with college reimbursement. They'll pay for your college, and then you owe them 4 years. So I need to look at this more, I guess they told you my car would not start. I'm sorry, I was late to the meeting. But I want to read over this and certainly hear any addendums. But 2 years is not an unreasonable amount of time, and there could be exceptions. I mean, I don't know what that language would look like, but it's not unreasonable at all. In fact, it's normal course of action to have some level of expectation, because what we need is retention. And that's what we see in a lot of our departments. We get these great hires, and we train them to do a particular job, and then they go up the street for $4,000 more a year. And we certainly don't want to pay for someone's schooling and have them turn around and leave for a different opportunity. I would not be in favor of a program that did not have some level of expectation on the back end.
When we roll this program out, we want it to be positive instead of punitive.
Exactly.
But it's not punitive. This is a great benefit. This is an amazing program, and if I were in the position that I needed to further my education, I would be ecstatic to have this opportunity. But I would also feel, if somebody's going to give me something, that there would be some level of expectation of my performance or staying on the job or reimbursing those monies. It's certainly not set out to be punitive. This is a reward. This is a great program. But there absolutely has to be an expectation. Do we want to have some reasonable escape clause? I'm okay for looking into that. But this isn't a college giveaway program. If somebody wants to sign up for this, then they'll know the expectation is 2 years.
I participated in a program like this for one of the largest companies in the United States, and they had exceptions. And that's all I'm asking for, are reasonable exceptions. Somebody leave their job, we're going to go dun them for money that they didn't pay. I mean, if somebody enter a class and they don't complete the class, yeah, they don't get paid. This is not paying them and then they go to school. This is go to school, we pay you. that right there is enough to keep a person in school and keep them there. My thing is reasonable exceptions, because there are reasons for people leaving employment that should be accepted from that rule. That rule is harsh, and it's not in place at every place that has this type of program. Believe me, it wasn't in place at the place that I worked and participated in it. So that's all I'm saying. It's not giving away anything. The people that work for the county, one of the reasons they leave is because there are people working elsewhere doing the same thing, making more money. So this is compensation. This is not a giveaway. They're working for this.
Right,
And we
absolutely.
should get that out of our minds. We're not handing out anything.
Okay.
Carmen, if I start class in January, when do I get reimbursed?
You have to complete the coursework, turn in your grade reports, and once you turn in your grade report, as long as you pass your classes, then you'll be
It's
reimbursed.
on a semester by semester?
Correct.
Okay.
You mentioned a ceiling for the overall program. That you make a comment about the ceiling for the
Right.
overall program?
Yes, it's $5,250 a year, and that's from IRS tax rules. If you receive more than $5,250 a year, then it has to be taxable income. And just to keep that out of the way, we decided to use that as the maximum amount you can receive each calendar year.
And the city, you say, implemented this about 2 years ago.
It's been a little longer than that. They've had it a couple of years.
Did they get a
yes.
lot of interest, that you were?
We have, I would say, on average, each year, we've spent about $35,000, I'd say.
So if everybody, all of our employees with the county wanted to do it, would we be able to fund it?
It would depend on how much you want to fund. So that's totally up to the commission each year, how much they want to fund it. But what we have in place is that we date stamp the applications as we receive them, and so it's done first come, first serve. So once the funding is no longer available, then, they would have to apply the next time.
Thank you, ma'am.
And I'm sorry if you answered this, but what exceptions does the city have for leaving the
Currently, there are
program?
none.
There are none? Okay, thank you.
Can I just clarify, we're recommending 50,000 for this budget year?
Mhm.
And then we'll revisit it for next year's budget, depending on the interest, and I'll just cover that with the budget change, since we don't know the amount. We'll go over.
You got something else, Carmen?
Yes, sir. We started looking at the service maintenance jobs and the equipment operator jobs from a request from the city. While we were looking at them, we also looked at the service maintenance jobs and the equipment operator jobs in the county. And we needed to clean up some of the minimum qualifications, some of the overlapping. And we have a recommendation as to how to fix that. Robbie Estes was the senior analyst on this project. It's been an extensive project. We've had to look at several positions, several jobs, so it was a long process, but we really think that this is the best format to move forward with these positions, and he can give you a little more detail on it.
The problem started with the city's equipment operator jobs and defining which jobs required a CDL license, because right now, everybody's having trouble either getting people to take the CDL test, or people are not interested in taking it at all. But as looking at that, we went ahead and looked at the whole series, and the only recommendation that would affect the county is getting rid of one of the service maintenance level positions, because there's not really 3 levels of work being done there. The county's equipment operator jobs are defined very well, so we're not bothering those at all. So our proposal would be to fix the equipment operator side on the cities all the way through, and then, of course, get rid of one of the 3 levels for a service maintenance worker, which affects both sides.
Okay. Is that a way rule or future agenda?
Future agenda.
Okay. Let me ask this, we did law enforcement. We looked at that and had them, we wanted to make them equal. How many more jobs we got in the city and county that, the city employees are getting paid more than the county employees? If it's the same job, it's just about the same description, with different titles and all that.
I'm not understanding your question.
I'm saying how many jobs in the city and the county that are similar,
Oh.
that the city employees make more than the county employees?
I'm not sure. They would only if the pay scales are different, but like
Can
for
we-
service
can we
maintenance
take-
worker,
Can we take a look at that? Because I remember when we did law enforcement, I don't remember doing anybody else. But, you know, I think, all our other employees deserve the same treatment. We need to look at all of these jobs. If they perform the same duties, we need to look at it. So if you all could do that. Commissioner, when y'all agree with that?
well, the difference, I guess, was, you know, when in the county or the city, one get a cost of living raise, of course, if it's the same job, they're gonna get paid more. But we could certainly look at it. But it's the opposite right now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Right now, the administrative pay plan in the county is higher than the administrative pay plan in the city.
Okay.
So, okay, thank you.
Next, we'll hear from Emily Flowers.
Hi, how are y'all? Good morning.
Good, how are you?
Brought some friends with me. These are 3 dancers from the Alabama Dance Theater.
Thank you.
They are 3 of 35 community members and about 120 students we have right now, ages 3 through college. We are a pre-professional dance company. That means our young people on stage
Emily,
are
if
incredibly
you would use the, so people that's listening online can hear you.
Okay, freaks me out, I'm sorry. Good morning, everybody. We are Emily Flowers with the Alabama Dance Theater and Sarah Sanford, who is our assistant director, our choreographer, our web guru, and an incredible graphic designer as well. And we have 3 young dancers with us from the Alabama Dance Theater's company of pre-professional dancers. We have 35 dancers this year, and it is our 35th season performing and training young people. We are grateful for your continued support over the past years, and we're here to request further support for our coming season. And we are just excited to be part of these young people's lives. We are a sport and an art. We encourage them to excel academically as well as creatively and physically, and we want to see this carry on into the future with your support. We are honored to have it in the past. Thank you. I'm also going to pass around this beautiful book that Sarah put together for our 35th anniversary. We recently had our business manager of 35 years, Jackie Berry, retired, and so we created this for her. This is our other copy, so if you want to pass that around. Do you have any questions about what we do? We perform 3 times a year in public, but every day just about there is something going on in our studios, rehearsal and training, and we are constantly finding new ways to reach our community's needs as well as just train our own students.
Emily, one of these times, you need to bring some music and give us a little preview.
I told Emily that. I told, did I tell you that? I told her that.
We're not going to do
We
anything?
can do some improv if you guys feel up to it. They have not warmed up, so.
Now, I want to know which one of you are Douglas Ingram's, which one's his daughter? And your name is Laura? Laurie. Well, it's so nice to meet you. Douglas, it's so good to have you in the audience today, my old and dear friend, Douglas Ingram. So thank you, ladies, for all your hard work. Yeah, next time you come, make sure you, see, we've got a nice well down here and space for you to do your thing.
Well, right now they are tired because they have been rehearsing. Yesterday, they spent their day off rehearsing. We go to a national festival. It's regional this year. Every 7 years it's national. And we present pieces of original choreography, and they also prepare outstanding soloist competition pieces and original new works of short pieces. And Sarah also choreographs full-length ballets. So in early March, we'll be at the Davis Theater with our own original Beauty and the Beast, which is, I think, our most lavish production of all. It is incredibly beautiful and involves children from the community as well as our own dancers. We have auditions January 23rd for members of the public to come age grade 1 and up to come try out, and they can be little bonbons or villagers or whatever cute parts Sarah has for them. The costumes are exquisite. They get to perform at a professional level of lighting and sound and choreography. The opportunities for these young people are almost unmatched in this area. Again, we've maintained honor company status in that regional dance association since 1992. And I stopped to think about that. I thought, my gosh, that's not the same people since 1992. It's a new crop of dancers all the time. We get them sometimes as young as 3. They join company starting at age 11. They train their hearts out. And we have maintained that honor status thanks to our faculty. I will say that our faculty, Kate couldn't be here. She's artistic director now. Her mother passed suddenly in 19. She was our founding artistic director. Kate's doing an incredible job carrying forward her mother's legacy and mission. And Sarah's a former student. I'm a former dancer at ADT. Just about everybody on our faculty at this moment is a former dancer, former company member. That's very unusual in the dance world. We retain our friends. Some leave, come back. And we keep the training going. The mental hand down of dance. You can't just watch a VCR or a DVD and go, oh, let's just do that again. You have to have some living memory. And dance is handed down. Our teachers, when we were young, had learned from the Russians and the Italians who came over from where ballet began and taught it down through New York, and then it rippled out across the country. We were incredibly fortunate to be part of this network and legacy. So we offer free performances at the Riverwalk in July at our beautiful amphitheater. That's 2 free nights of performances of a variety of kinds of dance. We do our classical ballet in the spring, and then our holiday production, Mistletoe, is in mid-November at the Davis as well, and that is a crowd favorite. Over the years, our favorite dances of Christmas, our short variety of pieces, has grown to include a catalog of about 55 original works just at the holiday alone. So that, we do about 16 a year, so it changes every year, and it's a charming evening. What else? Community Day.
Mr. Chairman, I would propose that we continue to support this through our joint revenue when we get that money replenished, that we continue from the joint at 15,000 as we've done in the past.
Sounds good to me, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Chris, you mentioned that it was open to the public. The participation in terms of being a student, is there any minimum criteria in terms of prerequisites?
Oh, I'm sorry. First of all, thank you very much for that recommendation. I appreciate it very much. What exactly was the question?
In terms of having an opportunity as a student to be part of this event or this school, are there any minimum criteria?
Well, you're not too old.
Well, yeah, thank you. I've been thinking about the leotards.
They're very comfortable these days. Our young people can attend age 3 and up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there is a cost to dance on a regular basis, a weekly class for 3 or 4-year-old to dance. The older students, once they get to that company level, 11 years old and up, if they are serious and they show talent, we do have some funding for what we call the Suzanne Shepherd Memorial Scholarship Fund. She was our registrar and costume mistress for a very long time. Really the backbone of ADT. So in her name, we have a scholarship assistance fund that makes it possible for you to take classes year-round at no cost. And because we know it's not always possible to sign up for a consistent weekly class, and the leotards and tutus cost some money. We know that. There are barriers to entry. We have created Community Day, which opened last April. It's a quarterly series on a Saturday. Children age 8 to 19 come to the Armory for a free day of 3 different classes, some snacks, a free t-shirt, and that has received generous funding from the Alabama State Council on the Arts, Regions Bank, and BBVA.
Our first, it was Lauren Anderson, Houston Ballet that came in.
Yes, she's mentioning the lady who helped us design this program. This is not something we came up with out of the blue. It is a program modeled on Houston Ballet's program, and the lady who is their education engagement outreach lady, Lauren Anderson, is a very big deal in the dance world and the world. She is one of the first African-American ballerinas, principal ballerinas in the country in the 70s. Her point shoes are in the Smithsonian. It was an honor to have her come and help us kind of engineer what this program would look like in our studio space. She taught a class to these incredible young dancers. Some had never danced before. Some were dance majors at ASU. She got them all together. They did the same thing. There was so much joy and movement in those studios that day, and we were all kind of coming back out of quarantine and getting back to our studios, and it was really invigorating for all of us. So, what
I
else?
think we got to move on.
Yeah, I could do this all day. I'm sorry.
You got your money.
Okay, all right, all right. Thank you all very much. Thank you all very, very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you,
Thanks,
young
girls.
ladies.
Next, we'll hear from Ms. Jones Smedley regarding the Jazz Festival.
Oh, those photographs are beautiful. Yeah, they're striking.
Good morning. I'm honored to be here to bring this proposal before you to partner with the City of Montgomery Department of Cultural Affairs for the first Smooth Jazz Festival for the City of Montgomery. Our proposal for this is, the dates are going to be in September of 2022. As many of you know, the Department of Cultural Affairs has been in existence for about a year now, and in the processes of us being here over the year, we have sought to find those activities that bring us together as communities and that we can celebrate, and we established some signature at events earlier, observing jazz as the national art format or original art format here starting in April. And so we have cultivated a desire for this art form to be celebrated on a larger scale. Here, starting April, we had Jazz in the Gardens, and then we had Jazz on the Riverfront. And in each event that we have had, that has been free to the public, there has been some component of it that included jazz. So we were approached to have one in Montgomery, Alabama, as we have not had in many, many years. And this one, again, I said, is going to be in September. The production company or the promoters are out of Birmingham. It's Cedric Allen. The organization is Empowerment, Inc. They have been vetted through us, through GuideStar, which is a nonprofit platform that you go to review organizations and evaluate their capacity. They have suggested to us a return on investment for the city and county of over $5 million, and they base this on numbers that they have run for previous events that they have done. Since 2014, the Empowerment, Inc. started in Birmingham with Smooth Jazz Festivals up until 2019. Of course, in 2020, everybody was quarantined for that. But they also have extended their reach to Orlando and also to Miami, so they have hosted festivals, and we have had reports from them. I did share the final report from the Miami Smooth Jazz Festival with the commissioner, or I emailed it this morning. So I hope you do have copies of that. The expectation of the city, and we do not have an MOU as of yet because we wanted to find out the particulars of what would be required, but that there will be a 60-40 partnership here with the City of Montgomery putting in 60% of the ask for us. The investment is $300,000. So that's...
Mr. Commissioner Harris,
Yes.
you a jazz man, what you think?
Well, when I got the call, I was really excited about it. Kind of bothers me, though, that they picked that third weekend in September, which is the same weekend of the Monterey Jazz Festival. But I tell you, if we pull this off, I will not go to Monterey this year.
Okay. Well, now, I think the date is not the Monterey, because that's the 17th, right?
Monterey is 23rd.
25th, yeah, so we're going at 17th, which is the weekend before that. And we did do some troubleshooting on that, looking at sports events that were happening, who was playing away and who was playing here. The 10th, the first was not going to work, and then the only other, the 24th was out. So this is the best weekend to have it.
I think it's an excellent idea and a project for the city and the county to undertake together. There are various cities that surround us that, I mean, Panama City, for one, I make an annual trek there every year along with thousands of other Montgomeryans. And not just from Montgomery, Atlanta, Detroit, you name it, they're in Panama City for this same act and some of the same acts that you're going to have here, the same type of venue. I'm told that Pensacola is getting in the mood. Birmingham had it. I'd like to see Montgomery develop some kind of art form or some kind of cultural event that makes Montgomery a destination once a year for people all around the country and at some point all around the world. I think we have that in the Equal Justice Museum. We have that, not at one particular time, but people coming in from all over the world. But I'd like to see Montgomery be that destination city for once a year for people all around. And I think this is one way of doing it. This reminds me of back, before I moved back home, there was Jubilee once a year where they block off streets downtown, and they'd have 3 or 4 venues, and at least one of the venues would be jazz, one would be blues, one would be country. I mean, it was just fabulous. You know, I'd come home every year for that, and I don't know what happened to stop it. I think it, I don't know if it.
Financially, Dan, it was couldn't make it work financially. It was the problem at the time.
I think city county maybe started out, but we got some big companies in Montgomery now that could also help to sponsor an event like this. If it help it become profitable. So I support it. I think it's something that we should assist in.
One of the things that we did like about the proposal is that over the years that they have been doing this, that they have created a following with the particular artists that they are. So we have been able to look at their reports and sort of track that. And so that was another thing that was attractive about doing this. And as I said, we have over this year cultivated that interest in it. And because we have natural ties to, in the state of Alabama, to jazz being spread far and wide, with James Europe Reese, who was in Mobile. He's a native of Mobile, but he was ahead of the firefighters, the hellfighters from Harlem when they went to Europe and took jazz over there. So
let me get that history later on, and let me get you some more value. You got one value. Okay, let's see. Any other comments on this? Anybody else?
You want comments, or you want to know if we support it? What do you want?
That's a good distinction. No, it's a great idea.
Yeah, is it gonna be outside?
it is. The amphitheater is the location for it, and we're using, perhaps if we have a second stage and phase of that, it will be in the train shed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we gonna be with you, okay?
All right.
We need the MOU.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have 2 other waived rule items to consider. The first is an unbudgeted position fill request for a grants administrator. We're presenting this so that we can move forward as quickly as possible. The county does not have a grants administrator in its pay plan, so we're tweaking that job description. It'll be approved, has to be approved by the personnel board, assuming the commission approves that, and so this will just expedite this process.
No objection.
No objection.
Is this, sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Isaiah.
Thank you, sir. Carmen, is this pay scale, is this in line? Do you know what the city grant person, Mrs. Porter, Miss Porter with the city, she's a grant administrator. I believe that's
No.
correct title. No?
She's
what?
What this job is that it's a grants administrator position that we already have in the pay and classification. So what I recommended to Florence is we just go with this to have a foundation.
Okay.
To create what you all need, it would expedite the process. So we're not sure if this is gonna be the end product of a job that we'll have, but it will be a starting point for us to work with. So this is what we're doing.
That's
This job is not currently within the pay plan for the county.
Okay.
and that's not the position that
Ms. Porter, what's her position? Just for clarification. Okay.
And if she's a grants coordinator, it's not that pay grade, it's a lower pay grade.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
We're just trying to get the pay structure in place, but there's no, in terms of interviewing for this particular job, that process, this is going to be personnel, will it aside from a list of qualified people?
Yes, we still have to, this is to get the pay scale done, but then once we do that, we still have to get the job description completed, one person has to make sure we get that done, then it'll go out for people to apply for it, and we'll go through that process of interviewing and deciding.
Thank you.
Yeah, we need to expedite this because we've been talking about it for about 8 months now.
We need it.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, is that a way everybody too?
Yes, sir,
Everybody
please.
agree?
No objection.
No objection, okay, thank you.
Third waive rule item is to consider hiring the manager of public affairs at a pay grade A09, step 3. As the memo in your packet said, this candidate is extremely qualified, has over 20 years of experience, and I think it's very reasonable to start this person at a step 3.
No objection.
So we've already interviewed candidates, et cetera, and this person, whomever she is the best qualified.
Yes, sir.
Is she not here today?
You know that?
Oh. Well, apparently the decision, everything's been done already.
Florence, would she accept the role at this starting pay?
Yes.
Can we move on?
Yes, sir.
No objection?
Yes.
Okay, good.
In your general, well, let's see. Next, item number 6 is to approve to have 2 county employee blood drives this year, as we've done in the past, and at the discretion of department heads, allow 4 hours of leave for
Okay,
donation.
is that the next agenda?
Consider 2022 membership dues in the amount of $175 to Leadership Alabama for Commissioner Walker.
It got delayed this year, didn't it, Rhonda? Past?
No, they started on time this year. It was last year's class. They just
Okay.
skipped an entire class year.
Okay.
But yeah, they're back on track.
Who else hadn't been to Leadership Alabama?
Dan and I are the only ones that have done it.
I haven't been.
We got to get everybody through Leadership Montgomery.
I mean, who hadn't been to
Who hadn't been to
Montgomery?
Leadership Montgomery?
Raise your hand if you've been through Leadership
I'm talking
Montgomery.
commission.
I know, me too. There's,
I think
You been through that?
Yeah, I'm class number 18.
Well, not Leadership Alabama.
Leadership Alabama,
yeah,
no.
Dan and I are the only ones that have done Leadership Alabama. You did
I
Leadership
didn't get my
Alabama?
bill. They didn't send me a bill yet.
Oh,
sent me a bill?
they sent me an email that said you haven't paid. So,
Well, maybe I paid.
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
Next agenda.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Consider a bid award to Osburn Associates for traffic supplies for engineering.
Next agenda.
Wait a minute.
Go ahead.
George, there was something funny about that bid. Which one, what number is that, Florence?
Number 8.
Number 8.
Pull it up there right quick. That, and I know you can explain it away, but it just looked funny to me.
Tammy, can you pull the,
They were,
Tammy, I can't.
they were at 15,570, and the one next to them was at 12 something. And then when I looked at the numbers were similar. You see what I'm talking about?
They didn't bid on some items.
What items did it bid on?
If you see on the first page of the tab sheet where it says no bid, like line 2 through 10.
Line 2 through 10, I don't have it, wait a minute.
Can you please pull up the tab sheet?
Yeah, I got it here, I'm trying to read the bids, and it looks like they bid on everything the other. They bid on everything that
The far right column for bid number 3. For bidder number 3.
yeah. They bid on one, they bid on, wait a minute. On the extended bid, no bid, no bid. No bid. Okay. All right. All right, I apologize.
Okay.
It just looked like maybe, I was looking at the wrong column.
Item number 9 is consider a bid award to Preferred Cleaning Services for sanitizing services.
Next agenda.
In your general information items is a letter and some documents about a Maxwell Boulevard downtown accessibility study. I believe Sharon Rose has spoken to most of you about that. She's here to answer questions.
Mr. Chairman, I have some serious questions about $320-something thousand for a traffic study. When the city do them all the time. Why can't the city do it?
Sharon, do you have an answer for that? Commissioner Harris wanted to know why the city doesn't conduct the traffic study versus hiring this firm.
The city would be picking up 60% of that cost. There was one previously done where the city, where in terms of whiteboard, particularly with that area where the city paid for, and then also submitted a grant, infra grant, and was funded a little more than $600,000. And as we look at the downtown plan and growth of that area, again, Maxwell reached out to us asking for partnership to help fund that study.
But perhaps the scale and scope of this particular study is bigger than the city's capacity to conduct the study.
What they're actually doing is called an accessibility study, not just a traffic study. The city can always conduct traffic counts and traffic movements. The accessibility study is going to go further, projecting future growth at the exit at Maxwell, at what work in addition to traffic going to be coming into downtown off that exit on the interstate. It's looking at alternatives, which of course, you know, we've always hoped for Maxwell Boulevard getting its own direct off-ramp exit. This is just kind of building towards that in the future, so it's a lot more in-depth than just a traffic study.
Sharon, this is the first step for us to go to the federal and try to get access off the interstate directly to Maxwell Boulevard.
At
So
the
you-
federal level, they like to see that you got some skin in the game and that you.
Exactly, and the other part of this too is the FEMA part for Maxwell, because right now, you know, FEMA and Maxwell is the staging area for FEMA and have access, because now when you come from Autauga County to Montgomery, it's a left, and to get into Maxwell Boulevard, so.
And Mr. Chairman, I've reviewed this information with regard to the study and feel that it, although a large expenditure, it is a necessary expenditure. I am completely in favor of the county cooperating with the city in this venture to get this done. I think the 65 corridor, that gateway, is one of our, in my opinion, one of our top priorities right now for the city of Montgomery.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I think it would be nice if Skip, a consultant, came by and at least, you know, to maybe help explain this a little bit further. I'm also wondering if this may not be a project that might be appropriate for the Metropolitan Planning Organization. You know, and I think we have two of our distinguished colleagues here that sit on that MPO. And I'm just wondering, I know we spend a lot of the monies to look at these particular type of projects, at least based upon my understanding of the whole process. So why is this not an MPO project, and can we have Skip, a consultant, come and paint a better picture?
I'm
So
glad we hired a MPO expert. Tell them why it's gonna fall in the category MPO.
To get this funded, it would have to go in the Unified Plan and Work Program as a study, and it would probably have to wait until next October. So you will be able to get it prepared to be funded, but the actual funding will not occur until October. And so with the timeframe that you're working on, looking at the opening of the park, looking at everything that you're gonna need to get the plan done, see different turn movements, you may need the different lights that may be coming and that may be necessary, as well as what happens not just from a, they'll be able to predict what happens not just from a traffic standpoint in terms of when the district opens, but what does traffic look like when everything else that we anticipate and that we hope to develop does develop? What does that look like for traffic? How do we accurately plan for that going forward in the future? But I think Skip will be a great asset in order to come before this body and explain.
That's what bothers me, really. We looked at this thing, we budgeted out at 50 million, and we're already over budget. We've paid $325,000 for a study, and they come back and say, well, you got to spend another 10 million in order to satisfy Maxwell. So that's another 10 million we got to go and find. That's what really bothers me
That's totally
about it.
understood. I mean,
You know,
something of this size in terms of the Whitewater District and the current roadway, roadway improvements are always something that you have to take into account.
yeah, but we did that, you know, and they told us you needed one road to do it. And we made a plan that we were going to borrow money, and we started working on that thing. Now, here we are, too far in to come out, and somebody says, well, you got to spend another $326,000 to study it, and that study is not going to be in vain. They're going to come back and make recommendations, and it's not going to be another little street around the corner. It's going to be another multi-million-dollar addition to a $50 million project that's already at $75 million. Bothers me
While,
that we're at this point.
while Whitewater was the impetus to go ahead and do this study, it is certainly not the only reason that we need to look at the I-65 corridor as it runs through Montgomery. The traffic counts on Interstate 65, north and south, the volume of cars that go along 65 south on any given day, Montgomery is missing those opportunities to get that traffic pulled off. They're stopping in Prattville, and they're stopping at Priesters, and they're not stopping in Montgomery at all. So this is something that we have talked about for years and something that desperately needs to be done. We need to improve our exits on I-65 through Montgomery in order to entice those travelers to stop in Montgomery, because right now we're losing them to Autauga County and Butler County. So that is a big part of it. And again, this certainly needs to be done.
I don't think, Mr. Chairman, if I may, I don't think we would disagree with you, Commissioner Walker, in terms of the necessity of it, but it's the process that I'm concerned about, that we're taking. And so
The study, the process of having the study done?
No, just what exactly we're trying to accomplish, and I think Skipper would probably be more of an expert in that area in terms of, giving us a better picture.
No, I think that would be very helpful to have them come and explain their process and procedure and what they might find. But the other piece to this is we have a unique opportunity in 2022 to go after federal appropriations. There has been an earmark moratorium on congressional appropriations for the past decade at least, but that moratorium has been suspended, and we have an opportunity that we have not had in over a decade to ask our congressional delegation specifically for earmarked assistance for a project. So I'm not saying that this will be the project, but this is the type of opportunity that we don't need to miss. We need to come together with the city and decide what project we need to approach our federal delegation with, and we need to do that in a timely manner. I believe that process starts in March. But this is a great opportunity, and this is just one example of something that we could take to them. So we are on a clock with regard to getting this done, but we need to do our part on the county level in order to then be able to solicit funding from the federal level.
We've gone way. I read the letter from the colonel, okay? And he's only concerned with the effect it's going to have on Maxwell. and Whitewater. Now we're going way down to Greenville and Prattville. I'm talking about what the colonel asked for and what we're responding with. He only asked
She.
for...
She, Commissioner Harris.
Pardon?
She.
The
female.
colonel is a she.
Well, she.
Yes, sir.
The colonel only asked for a study that will give him an idea of the effect on traffic going up and down Maxwell Boulevard. I could give her a simple answer: open up the Day Street gate. You don't have to worry about it. But this is, we're taking it and we're talking about stuff, yeah, that I'll agree, everybody would agree. We need to develop that corridor. But that wasn't a part of Whitewater.
We're not doing this because Maxwell asked us to.
Well,
I
that's
think
what
they
I
were.
was told, and that's,
Okay.
did you read the thing?
I think
the
they
letter?
were just
Did
supporting
you
the
read
idea. Yeah, I did. I
Well,
did.
the letter was from the colonel,
Yeah, I
and
read
that's
it.
what this request, I was told, was based on.
Oh, no, we've been talking about this
No,
for
that's
quite some
not,
time.
that's not what's in this.
I think
this
the
item.
colonel was just supporting it from the perspective
not
of
what's in this
Maxwell. Okay, all
I
right.
read the letter.
Mr. Chairman, I think Commissioner Harris's objections are duly noted, and we can probably move on.
Everybody else know that.
Well, let me say this. Y'all, it's nothing to be angry about.
No, it's not anger, it's just,
something that,
some people just,
let's don't get stressed out about it.
Mr. Chairman, may I add something from a meeting last week on this? Can I add a little bit on it real quick?
Well, go ahead.
The I-65 gateway to Montgomery at Maxwell Boulevard is our federal initiative that was agreed upon by, and I shared this with all the commissioners. There is they call it a multi-million grant funding that's coming out from the government that deals with projects over $100 million. But and it's actually, Commissioner Walker said March, it's actually February, that we have to have our ducks in a row if we're going to be involved. And the people that will be getting this funding will be the ones that are, quote, like they like to say, shovel-ready, or at least be prepared. And I think there's some information that just came to us last week. So this is a lot bigger than just Maxwell and Colonel Meltzer's request. It's a lot bigger than Whitewater. It's trying to get access off the interstate to Maxwell Boulevard, which we all know we're going to have, especially if Whitewater's as successful as we all want it to be, especially if we have any natural disaster where Maxwell's a staging area for FEMA. And then just to make, when you get to, right now, when you come from Ottawa County to Montgomery, you don't know you're in Montgomery till you look to your left as you pass those big buildings.
Mm-hmm.
So we need something there. So this is kind of I agree somewhat with Commissioner Harris, but this is the first step for us to be ready now. And we've got to be ready now. We cannot wait because Huntsville's getting everything. Mobile's getting everything. Montgomery needs to step up and be ready. And that's what we were told on our Washington visits. Senator Shelby looked me straight in the face and said, y'all need to get y'all's act together. And this is just part of us trying to get our act together and being prepared.
Senator Shelby, with all due respect, he was the man in Washington. The Senate, Finance or Ways and Means.
He's still there until end of this year.
You know, we are getting federal recognition about the way we work with the city, because they say other places in the United States of America is not doing what Montgomery is doing. And that might not mean much to some of us, but it means a lot to me.
Yes.
Even in the State House of Alabama, they say Montgomery wasn't getting what they needed to get because we were not together. So that's the reason people like places like Birmingham, because they always came together. I can't buy into all of that. It's about the representation that you have at first. Who you got represented, who you got selling your product. Going back to, we knew that when Whitewater, our objective if Whitewater was coming, that it would be successful enough to bring on way more traffic than Maxwell Boulevard. Now, what the colonel name, was a she or he or whoever, was her request. you know, we don't wanna, we are being listened to on Facebook and all. We don't wanna talk against nothing on Maxwell now. And that's one thing we do not wanna lose. And, you know, we talked about the best, what they call the sheriff, the best hometown
In the Air Force.
in the Air Force. We don't want that to be out, that the county commission ain't agreeing with Maxwell. And I know that we are not doing that, but we gotta be careful about what we're saying, because they do try to partner with us when we try to have something.
And they have put 75,000 into this
Yeah.
already, and the city has agreed to do their
Everybody's agreeing with us.
147.
And I think everybody has talked about the opposition, or whether they go for some, what we need to do is decide, whether we go forward. And I'm in favor of going forward.
Can we get the consultant, at least get the consultants in for a word or two, Mr. Chairman?
Well, I think we do a lot of backstepping at the county. I mean,
Well-
yes, we do, but I don't mind,
Okay,
if that's what you want.
Well,
I'm fine with them coming in. What I would propose is if, you know, this company's also done studies for Redstone Arsenal and other places in Alabama, highly qualified. If we ask them to come to our next meeting, I would also like this to be put on the agenda for a vote at our next meeting. Yes, answer questions, and then we can make a vote, but we need to move forward with this as Maxwell has already done, as the city has already done.
Would y'all prefer if we try to get the information from them to us before the next meeting?
No, that's
So-
not, let them come in
Okay.
first.
Is that acceptable?
That's fine.
yeah, but of course, that's why we need the grant administrator, Mr. Chairman, so that we can get this money from other sources. Secretary of Transportation, what is that, the Honorable Peter Buttigieg? He's appropriated $1 billion to address issues that the interstate caused, particularly in communities of color, when they ran interstates through. And, you know, some of that money could be used for this project, as well as MPO. I think MPO is really the one that should be addressing this.
And I think, like he said, we probably
We could do it.
Get
It just
it back.
takes, it'd take
Well-
2-3 years.
we can get the
I thought
money
he said,
reimbursed.
yeah, well,
Yeah,
all right, well,
that's what he said.
So, Mr. Chairman, again, I ask that we put this on the next agenda and that we also invite Skipper Consulting to come speak to us.
All right. Okay.
Another item included in your general information is a resolution to engage Stiefel and Liberty Bank and Trust as underwriters and Gilpin Gavan as bond counsel for a bond issue to fund repairs and renovations to the detention facility and other capital projects.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend we put this on the next agenda.
Okay. Anybody opposed? Anybody? Okay.
I believe that covers all of the items for our information session. And I'll remind you that we also have an executive session following the formal session and an exit conference with the examiners of public accounts for our audit.
And what else we have to do? 2 o'clock?
Oh, and at 2 o'clock, there's a meeting of the Whitewater Cooperative Board, District Board, that we hope all of you will be able to attend.
Please do.
And MPS has a 3 o'clock meeting for elected officials to get input into the superintendent search.
To be held at Lee High School.
Lee High School, we all agree we want to have input, so we've asked for that, so I hope we'll have a good showing for that too.
And there's also
That's today at 3, at Lee High, public officials only. There's different forums with the public and with the teachers and with the principals, but they have one set aside for public officials.
and there's also a survey you can complete.
Okay. Yeah, we need a break before we go into executive session. We will take a break before we go there.
Excuse me?
We need to vote that we go into executive session.
We'll do that after the
We'll-
formal, right?
Yes.
So, okay. You get everybody, y'all tell everybody that you start at 10 o'clock now, so 10:30? You be informing everybody?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's 10 o'clock.
Okay, all right. All right. take a 5-minute break.